All right. Hello, everybody. It's October 11th here, moving into winter. So anyway, couple of things have come up in the last couple of weeks. I didn't talk about it last week. We had a lot of stuff to cover, but I wanted to talk about what's going on with the Google Plus thing right now. And from what I've heard, if it's not already done, Google Plus is going to probably disappear.
What is Google Plus?
Google Plus is a social network that Google has. You know, they didn't want to miss out on the whole social revolution, so they jumped in and created their own social network. Oh. And it's been around for several years. It was really kind of an SEO hack that a lot of people were using because Google loves their own properties. So when you put your content on the Google Plus site, they rated it pretty highly. So it was a way to get, you know, your content up on the search engines. But they recently got in trouble with privacy issues because they allowed some open APIs to access people's data and give that out when they're really not supposed to do that. So I think rather than try and address it and fix the issue, I think they're just going to sweep it under the rug. And from what I heard, they're just going to wipe it out. So I haven't seen that just yet. But if you've got a strategy that is heavily geared upon Google Plus, you might want to start rethinking that. So I'm just checking right now to see if my account is still active with G+. And it is. So it is still working currently, but I don't know for how much longer. So just kind of keep that in mind. I know some of you guys that are doing, you know, SEO stuff and intensely, that is part of your strategy. So anyway, expect a market crash there as well. So, all right, anybody got questions? I know a lot of you guys are working on stuff and in the middle of projects. Jeffrey, I hear you're working with Eldana now, so you guys might be coming down for a little powwow.
Yeah, if I can make it. We've been working together for years.
Okay.
I told her if she can schedule a meeting with me, go ahead. If I can make it, I'll be there. If not, I don't want to be the one holding it up. Yeah.
Well, I had sent her an email back this morning that, you know, we can do it on Zoom too. If travel is an issue, it's, you know, she's right here close to me, so I know it's not a big deal for her, but I'm happy to do it on Zoom, so not a problem.
Yeah, that helps scheduling, and you know, I'm always up for a motorcycle ride down to your area.
Well, however you want to play it, perfectly fine.
Up to her. It's her meeting.
Okay, cool. Well, I put the ball back in her court this morning, so we'll see what she wants to do.
Super.
Awesome. All right. Hey, there's Cheryl back. I haven't seen you in a little while. You had a little short sabbatical there.
Yeah, I just had to kind of get things organized in my head and get back on track. And like, I've been taking in a lot of data for the last several years, but I haven't really organized it or put it in a, you know, I haven't been ready to just get going and get launched, right? So now I feel like I'm really ready. So I went back to your program and I saw, okay, the first thing I saw was something about a successful ad campaign. And I think that it was just exactly the piece that I was looking for, because I've been bogged down in this sort of, my avatar is not making, you know, and I think it's because I've been looking at my avatar from one perspective, but I haven't been looking at my avatar from a successful ad campaign perspective.
Exactly.
You know, so my avatar makes sense to me because it's a subset of the general population that could use my product. But as an ad campaign, it doesn't make any sense at all. So as so when I talk about my avatar, people go, oh, no, you have to say emails over 40 that are and get that kind of granulator. And I go, but that's not really, but my avatar really fits all these other. But if I were to do an ad campaign, how could I possibly have all of those people in these 3 subsets with different empathy grids and different webs and different timeline changes? And, I would, in fact, have to get granular. So the key piece was create a successful ad campaign. What is the end result?
Yeah.
Am I trying to do a podcast, a book, and a webinar, or am I trying to do an ad campaign? Because it really makes a difference, doesn't it? So, in your opinion, can I be more broad in a website and a book and a podcast and just get granular when I do an ad campaign?
Yes, absolutely. This is something that a lot of people struggle with, this concept. You will have probably almost any business has multiple avatars. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to change your product. Your product could serve multiple avatars, and sometimes your avatar doesn't wind up being a particular person. Sometimes it's more symptom based. Like if you're talking about, let's say, this is a really good one just for sake of explanation. Let's say you're talking about headaches. Now, anybody could have a headache, right? So it's almost impossible to identify an avatar for a headache. So in that case, you basically create a faceless, nameless avatar where the symptom is the avatar. And the symptom.
That's what I've been doing, but that doesn't get me a strong ad campaign, does it?
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you identify, the thing about an avatar, the thing that's most important about identifying an avatar, whether it's a symptom or an actual person, the thing that makes the ad campaign work is knowing, okay, what's the timeline of this avatar? Where are they currently? What are they experiencing? And where do they want to be? So if it's a headache, for instance, that could be anybody. So we can't target a person. We have to target the symptom. And where they are, they're in pain. They have this thing that keeps coming back and keep chewing up their day, and all the stuff. So we know everything about that. We know what they want. They want to get rid of that. They want to never experience a headache again. So when we create a successful marketing campaign, it taps into that desire to eliminate this headache out of their world. And then what's that look like on the other side? Being pain-free allows them to never have to suffer again. Never lose a day of work, never miss out on an experience like going to one of your kids' plays or something because you can't get out of bed because your head hurts. That kind of stuff. So you can subset that down, like you could target specifically mothers with headaches, and then that way, talking about the kids is going to be important to the mother. So there's a lot of different ways, and the more granular you can get, the better off you'll be. But sometimes that's kind of difficult when you're dealing with the symptom type avatar.
Yeah.
But you can still do it.
I should say my avatar is a symptom avatar. That's a definite then.
Okay. Yeah.
And I have 3 subsets of the general population that would have different symptoms that would still apply to my, so then I would create an avatar within each of those subsets and then maybe even subset that. So if I look at it as just subset of subset of subset, then when it comes to the podcast, the web page, and the book, I can stick with the 3 main subsets. But when I add campaigns, then I come down to, subset of subset of subset.
Correct. Because you'll have different types of traffic that's going to be encountering you. Like if you have a website up, it's important for a website. Anybody can come to your website. Like you meet somebody at a networking event, you give them a card, maybe they go onto your website. It's important for your website to give them all the things that you offer and allow them to choose and get into the section that they want. You don't want to do that with an ad campaign.
Right.
With an ad campaign, it's very different because typically with an ad campaign, you're paying for traffic. So you're actually paying to have your message get in front of somebody. And if you get the wrong message into the audience, you're not going to get results. You won't get click-throughs, you won't get opt-ins, and ultimately you won't get any sales, and it'll be very expensive. So you've got to be kind of positioned both ways. Your website has to be ready to deal with the world, and your ad campaign has to be ready to deal with that specific market that you're targeting, your avatar.
Okay.
So you might have 20 different ad campaigns for one website, for one product.
You can?
It's
so
just
you can
different.
Put an ad campaign out somewhere else and then bring them into the website, but the website itself can be a little bit more general.
Yes.
Let's say you have a landing page and a funnel that you bring them through. That doesn't have to specifically be worded so that it's women over 40 who are busy and who are executives or whatever, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be that specific. Just the ad campaign has to be that specific.
Well, the ad campaign includes a landing page. So yes, you do want your landing pages to be that specific.
Oh, okay. So
like, let's say looking at it from a hierarchy of, if you're looking at your website and you have your 3 subsets, let's say you take one subset and you make an ad campaign for a specific avatar that would appeal to that subset. So for that ad campaign, you want a specific landing page that's not the same page necessarily as the page on the website. You want that landing page to be very, very specific to the ad campaign and to that avatar. Now you might come up with another, the big idea is what drives an ad campaign. So you might have, a bunch of different big ideas. Like even for me, like for ACT, one of the big ideas that I have for an ad campaign is the Elvis shift. It's something that is intriguing. A lot of people, in the age bracket that I'm looking at associate with Elvis. So that is one specific marketing campaign. Now I need a landing page that talks about Elvis. I wouldn't necessarily have that Elvis, on the website, when they go in to look at ACT, I wouldn't necessarily talk about Elvis.
Right.
But for that ad campaign, absolutely. And the webinar that's associated with that ad campaign. The other thing too is when you're creating an ad campaign, it needs to be specific to the action that you want to come out with. Like if you want to sell a product, then the ad campaign has to start at the beginning with cold traffic and take that cold traffic to the point of sale. So you need generally a couple of things in the middle there to do that. One is you need to build demand and desire. First of all, you need to grab their attention and get them to raise their hand and say, yes, I'm interested. That's usually done with a free or very inexpensive lead magnet. So a lot of times what I recommend, like all the ad campaigns that I'm working on right now with the apprentices, every one of them is started with a free report. So we identify like, where they are, where they want to go, and then we identify like what is the thing that's keeping them from that, or what is the thing that they're going to have to do first to move in the direction of getting their desired outcome. And we give that away for free. It's like a free PDF report. And then in the PDF report, it's very short. It's very easy to consume. It's very much to the point of driving the key factors of why they want their desired outcome. And they really want this, And then what we do is we offer them a free webinar that goes in deeper explaining the report of how to actually do these things to get what they want. And then in the webinar, you build the trust and the rapport, and you build their demand, their desire, you eliminate the objections, and then you make the offer. So that's a pretty good sequence if your product or service is, let's say, under $1,000 to $500. If you're in the lower range like that, that's a sequence that works pretty well. If you've got something that's over that, like it's a $2,000 or $5,000 or $10,000 product, you're probably going to need a few more touches to really build that demand and desire for that size of a purchase. The bigger the purchase, the longer the funnel. The more you need to do to get them to that point where they really want that. And the way you do that, the way you move them toward a big purchase, is actually giving them results in advance. If you can give them the first few steps for very low cost or even free, that demand for getting the desired outcome will go through the roof. So that's a pretty good way to go for that. Now, if you have we've got a couple people in the group that all they're trying to do is they just want someone on the phone. They want to do a free consultation because the free consultation is really their sales vehicle. So they say, if you can put somebody on the phone that matches these qualifications, I can sell 9 out of 10 of them with my presentation, with my free evaluation. So in that case, we're basically going right from cold traffic, like an ad on Facebook, to a landing page that offers that free 15-minute consultation and tells them what they're going to get out of it. And there's no risk, and it's high value, and you can go right to a scheduler to put somebody on a scheduled phone call with one shot. So, but if you're selling something, if your first thing is actually a transaction, generally it'll take more than just a one-shot landing page. Because your first thing is you're in a buy or die scenario there. So the first thing really is to get them to opt in. And they won't opt in for a sale necessarily, but they will opt in for a free lead magnet.
Right. So I was thinking of giving away like I wrote a book, and it's only about 125 pages, right? So I can either reduce that to a handout, of what the summary of the entire book is, or
yes.
I can, which is basically one of the chapters of my book anyway, or I can give the entire book. And I'm kind of thinking, why not just give the entire book? It's just an ebook. It's only 125 pages. So I could give that away for free. And then if they want the hard copy of it, then I could charge like shipping and handling of like $8 or something, and then if they say yes to that, then move them to maybe some kind of video or online audio or video program where because it's a formula that has to be executed, then case studies or something like that would be an expansion of that. So it's really all the same stuff, just in different forms, right, or different medium.
Yeah.
And then from there, eventually moving to like group counseling or one-on-one counseling in order to execute, because some people can take in the what, but they don't really get the how without coaching of some sort.
Sure. Well, here's the problem, and I'll give you a better sequence for that.
Okay.
The problem with giving away a book as a lead magnet is the book is not easily consumable. They're not going to be able to consume the material in 3 to 5 minutes and then move on to the next step. So a lot of times what happens is everyone will say, yeah, great, I want the book. I love the idea. Give me the book. So they'll opt in, but then they don't read the book. Getting them to read the book is a whole nother issue. So you can have a real big disconnect in your sales process by throwing the book out too soon. I would hold the book back for an incentive to do the next step. So I would start with the free report, the easily consumable. This is what makes a good lead magnet, is something that is small, bite-sized, gets them something quick. They can consume it and get an action out of it very quickly. And a book doesn't fit that criteria. So I would take like something out of the book, a little golden nugget, turn it into a free report, and give them that first. Now you've got them opted in. Now you have them in a sequence you can follow up. So the next thing is, let's say you wanted to put them on a free consultation next. You could say, as a bonus for you signing up for the free consultation, I'm going to give you a copy of my book for free. You just pay the shipping and handling. So now you've actually got them into a sales scenario where you can do that consultation and make a sale, and you're using the book as a bonus to get that to happen. You know, if you
That
don't want
sounds really smart, yeah. But if I wasn't ready to, like, if I wanted to get started without having that whole sequence of free consultation and like I don't really have the group program done yet, but if I wanted to get people started just getting to know me, because I'm switching out of the finance niche over to the relationship niche, and so nobody knows me, likes me, or trusts me over here. So I just have to start talking in the neighborhood, you know, just to get my voice known, right?
It's really easy to do that, because when you share good information, people know, like, and trust you really fast. The book gives you credibility. So if you've got a book under your belt, that's great. That's a credibility source. You can say, you know, I wrote the book on this subject. That's a great thing to have. But the book it does not make a good front-end lead magnet. It's
so
not.
I should reduce that. That's a good input. Okay, so I should reduce that down to the handout level. And then, but then if to feed them into the free consultation means I'd have to have some kind of, like, once they talk to me on a free consultation, I have to do something with them, right? And I'm not really ready to, like, take on group therapy or group, you know, one-on-one clients. So most of the time I turn down one-on-one clients right now, because I just want to focus on creating this first. But could I get started in the meantime without going to free consultation? Well, if I didn't go to free consultation, what would I go to if I put the handout out?
Well, let me ask you this. What is it that you want them to buy into? Or what, do you have a product or a service or a group coaching, or what?
Yeah, right now I think what I'm lacking is visibility and credibility, right? But ultimately I have to shift visibility and credibility into client attraction and monetizing. So yeah, I need an ad campaign ultimately, but they got to be fed into something that I haven't yet to create. But I would like to get my voice out there in the meantime, you know.
Okay, well, what we want to do, whenever you have an ad campaign, really you need a result of what you want out of it.
Right. So when I do ad campaigns, then I would want to feed that into some kind of funnel online, you know, like giving away this to that to more and more until it becomes the group event or one-on-one coaching. But in the meantime, I would like to start the process without going that far with it.
Okay.
Is there a way to get up and moving and get going without planning out the whole thing and taking that much time? Can I, like, start getting my voice out there now and just maybe shrink my end result to just visibility for right now?
You can, but there's the problem with that. That's a lot of times where you see that taking place is in big brands. And the thing that they can get away with that is they have big budgets. So unless you want to spend a lot of money and not make any money, that's not really a good way to go, unless you're just kind of doing free publicity and, you know, things like that. But you don't really need an ad campaign for that. You don't need an ad campaign to go out and get speaking gigs and, you know, put the badges on your website of I spoke at this place or I did this charity event. You don't need an ad campaign for that. Right. So if that's the point where you're at, you can just go ahead and do that. You're not trying to really accomplish anything other than just get visibility and be able to say, I did this, I did this, I did this, to build your credibility.
Yeah.
So
while I'm creating the end product to feed all that into, then it would be a good idea for me to just not do an ad campaign yet, but add the visibility and credibility piece in there, so that when I do the ad campaign, it's already kind of established that I have some kind of visibility and some kind of credibility.
Yeah. Now, if it were me, I would at least define the product. I would at least get an idea of where do I ultimately want to lead everyone.
Yeah, I have that.
Do I want an online course? Do I want a, like a business in a box, they call it, where you actually physically have something to ship and you can include the book with that? Or is it going to be, one-on-one consultation, private coaching?
So right now it's private coaching could be one, but group coaching to execute the formula.
Okay.
Because like I said, most people can get the what, but they don't really, when they actually try to execute the how, no matter how detailed you give it to them, they're never going to execute it well. So the only way to get the execution down properly is through coaching. So I see myself as using the book and the podcast, the website, all these visibility strategies, but the ultimate product would be, the book to me is just a calling card, basically, or a business card, So I'm not that interested in selling the book, but if it sells, but I'm not going to make any real money off of that. But the group counseling, group sessions, or one-on-one counseling would be the ultimate, but I don't really have that set up and planned because there's a lot of infrastructure to that sort of stuff. And also organizing and planning the program, and maybe even prior to that, an online program that I can upscale the book, the hard copy of the book for shipping, free for shipping and handling, up to a more passive online something. And then into, I can work on the fourth piece, which is then the group counseling, and then the fifth piece, which would be one-on-one. But I'd like to be able to do it in layers and not wait till the entire thing's done.
Okay, yeah, no, that's perfect. Because we actually hit on this, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but it's worth going over again.
Okay.
Because one of the things I really strongly encourage is not waiting until you have everything perfect. In fact, the most important thing is to be able to sell product, whatever the product may be, and you can pre-sell product before it's even made.
Yeah.
And especially in your case, because what you're going to do is you're going to take a process that you have and you're going to teach someone how to do that process.
Right.
And then you're going to coach them through actually implementing the process.
Right.
So the first step to that is to create training, step-by-step training of how to do A, B, C through the program. You don't even have to have the program started to do that. Because what you can do, you can kind of lay out the program. You can say, okay, this is going to be delivered in 8 weeks. There's going to be 8 lessons. You can say, and I've done this. I actually sold the program that I'm like these calls. These calls actually came off of the first one I ever did in 2008. And I sold the program and I didn't even have it. It was a program on how to do SEO. And it was an 8-week, 8-module course. And I was speaking at an event, and I told my wife, I said, I'm going to sell them a course. And she looked at me and she goes, you don't have a course. And I said, well, that's right. And I'm not going to make one either unless somebody buys it.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So I sold it, at this group. And I basically laid it out. I said, this course doesn't exist. I was very upfront and truthful about it. I said, I'm going to build it for you. It's going to be 8 weeks. Here's what we're going to cover. And the way I'm going to deliver it is every Monday, I'm going to deliver you the next module. So first Monday of the month, you're going to get module number 1. And then on Friday, we're going to do a call, and I'm going to answer any questions related to that module and help you implement that step. And then the following Monday, you're going to get lesson number 2. And then following Friday, we're going to do a call, and we're going to go over that step. And it did that for 8 weeks. And basically, that's how my first program was done. It was developed on the fly. And I'm still selling that program today, and I built it in 2008. It's pretty cool. It's all automated. It's there. Anyone can go in and take it. And then they're automatically dropped into this as support. This call has been going since 2008. It wasn't video call at first. It was just free conferencing. But now it's video calls, and it's just kind of evolved over the years. But you don't have to have everything done. for an online training course or any kind of training course, you can deliver it over a certain amount of weeks. And that gives you time to do it. Gives you time to build the program. And it also forces you to build the program.
Yes.
Because how many times have you thought, oh, well, yeah, I'll start it next week. But if you have someone that paid for it and you told them, hey, we're going to start the first lesson next week, that really kind of puts your nose to the grindstone and makes you develop the course. So I think it's a great way to do it. I think it's a great way to just commit to a starting date and sell it, and then build it on the way. And you will find that your feedback from who you're training will actually improve your training, because you'll get to see where they have problems. Like the ACT program, the first time I did it, I thought it was awesome. I thought, this is going to be like the best thing ever. And when I put the first group through it, no one could do it. I learned a lot from that first group of what they're capable of and what they know and what they don't know. And I was just assuming way too much of them. So I had to go back and redevelop the entire program on a completely different level, and then I ran that group through and I learned a lot from that group. and now working with the apprentices, I have sharpened the program and the process so much that, I would never have been able to do that if I didn't do it that way.
Right.
I built it on the fly, learning from my audience, learning from people that actually had bought the program. So that's a fantastic way to create a program. And then also, what's important by working with the people. You know what's important to them. So when you go back to recreate an ad campaign, think how much better your ad campaign will be, because now you'll be even more in their head. You'll know so much more about that avatar because you've worked with them.
John, how about if she tries something like starting with a blog?
Well, again, the blog, any of that kind of stuff, that's just things that you're not really committed to building anything. You're not committed to selling anything. And it's kind of, if you're not comfortable building something or selling something, that's usually where you wind up. And the problem is most people don't ever get out of there.
But isn't that a way for people to get to know her? And then she can just assume that when she's got enough people, she can start talking about the thing that she wants to sell to them. But at least she'll have made a foundation for what she's trying to talk about.
The short answer to that is yes, but the long answer is that is the longest road to China you're ever going to find. So it's just, that when people are not comfortable, that's where they land, because we all want to be comfortable, and there's no forward motion in comfort. If you want to move forward, you've got to do something you haven't done before, and that's uncomfortable. And some of the most successful people, I say, if you want to really be successful, get comfortable being uncomfortable. Because when you do something, it'll be uncomfortable the first time, then you'll do it, it'll now become comfortable, but now you have to do something else. It moves you up to a different level, moves you to a different plateau. And as entrepreneurs, what is our goal? We always want to go up. We always want more. We're never happy. Our timeline changes. Like if you work for someone and you want to be your own boss, and then you get your own business, well, you've finished that timeline. Now you're in business, you're your own boss. But now you realize, hey, I need more money for this to really work out, or I'm going to have to go back to work. So now you have a whole new timeline. And then you get to that point, you say, hey, this is pretty cool. I don't have to work, my partner doesn't have to work. We got a pretty good life, but hey, now we need to up that life because we've gotten used to traveling. So we want to travel more. So it's like, as entrepreneurs, we always want more. Enough is never enough. Too much is never enough. It's like for me, I it's an interesting story of how I even became an entrepreneur. What drove me to where I am is, I was 8 years old and I was in my dad and my grandfather's family boat, which was a little 18-foot skiff for the most part. And we're driving through Newport, which we did almost every weekend to go fishing. That was our thing. And at 8 years old, I realized, I was looking around, I'm like, hey, why don't we have one of these big, beautiful boats? And my dad said, because I have a job. And that blew my mind. As 8 years old, I'm like, to that point, I'm thinking you get a job, so you get money, so you have nice things. That was, what I thought. Well, my dad said, no, these people that have these big boats, they don't have jobs. They have businesses. And so at 8 years old, I knew I didn't want that crappy little wooden boat. I wanted one of those big ones. So I was not going to have a job. I was going to have a business. And he was absolutely right. And that has made me who I am.
Wow.
I can't even for a second fathom me having a job because of that. So that's just who we are. When we get the bug for business and entrepreneurialism, that good enough is never going to be. You'll never be good enough. You'll always want more. So for me, my taste in boats keeps getting bigger.
Did you ever buy that 80-foot boat?
I actually put an offer on it, and I actually moved from the 80 to a 92.
Oh my God.
And I put an offer in on it.
Boat.
I did the sea trial. We hauled it. We had it surveyed, and in the process, we found out there was a pending lawsuit on the LLC.
Oh.
So I had to put that one on the back burner. I said, you guys need to figure that out before I move forward on that. So I've been continuing my hunt, hoping they get that figured out and I can put that back in play, because it was an absolutely beautiful boat.
Yeah, imagine.
But even for me, back to that whole entrepreneurial thing, that tells me as an entrepreneur, I can figure this out. I can figure out how I'm going to get a boat like that. I started looking at it, and if I charter the boat for 1 week a month, it pays for it. And then I get a free toy. So, that's just the way my mind thinks. It's like, and it's uncomfortable because it's uncharted territory. It's like, charter business. I've never done that before. I don't know anything about that, but that's unfamiliar territory. So it's not comfortable. But for me, it's like, it's worth being uncomfortable to get that boat. So that's why, you hear people say, what is your why? And that's what will drive you. And there's some truth to that. If what you want is important enough to you to make it happen, then you'll get uncomfortable to make that happen. But the worst thing you could ever do is get comfortable. Like, just say, you start blogging and you got comfortable with that. You weren't making any money. How does that really help? You really need to just start forward thinking and saying, what do I have to do to grow? What do I have to do to make more money? If you don't have a product, you're going to need a product. If you haven't figured out what the product is, that's really your first step. Figure out of this avatar, what do they need? What could I provide of value that they would pay me for my unique knowledge? And that's good enough for a first product. Like for me, I knew SEO. So I put a course together. Here's how to do what I do. And I found out a lot of people needed that knowledge. They were willing to pay for that knowledge. And, I'm doing it again now in marketing. How to set up a successful marketing campaign. That's really what I'm selling. That's my new product. That's the ACT product. And it is even more universal than the SEO. Yeah, a lot of people wanted SEO, but in the scheme of things in the world, it's a very tiny little minute fraction. It was a little tiny niche. When I look now at all the people that need marketing campaigns, it's like every business on the planet, every entrepreneur or pre-entrepreneur, every person that's working that is dreaming about being in business needs this. So I have a much larger audience. You know, it's a much more unsafe place for me. So yeah, I was a little uncomfortable and still am, but I continue to move forward with that. So that's really what you have to kind of wrap your head around, is you need to figure out how you're going to make money, what you're going to sell, and then the first piece to actually doing that is creating that successful ad campaign. So it is kind of important to figure out, you know, and if you haven't figured it out, the easiest thing to do is to identify the market, find a profitable market, and then figure out where's the hole, where's the gap, what are these people missing, and make that for them. Build them a bridge to take them from where they are to where they want to be. A lot of people have made a lot of money on that concept, just figuring out what people need and providing it. So hopefully that makes sense, and that's you know, in your why. Hopefully your why is worth getting a little uncomfortable for. So, all right.
Well, thank you for all that, John. That helps clarify a few pieces for me. Thank you.
Well, perfect. You know, and that's really what this call is for. It's like if you don't know where you are and where you're going, don't be afraid. Just hop on here and say, hey, I'm lost. And the first thing we'll do is figure out, okay, where do you want to go? Yeah, we'll figure out how to get you there.
Okay.
That's what it's all about. I mean, there is no wrong, there's no bad question.
Well, you know, like I'm having a website built right now, and there is a landing page in it that just takes people to a free offer for right now. But if you're saying that when I do ad campaigns, it has to go to a very specific landing page, would those landing pages be in my website, or would they be independent of that?
Well, they can be on your domain. Like a website really is just a place to put a bunch of web pages. So the web pages don't have to be connected. They can be on the same domain, but they don't have to be connected. Typically on a website, what you do is you connect all the pages that make sense for somebody that comes into your site. And then you can have a bunch of straggler pages, those landing pages that are just kind of sitting there. There's no way to get to them outside of an ad campaign. And one of the reasons for that is tracking and measuring the successfulness of your campaign and of your ad spend. Because if you just had them all mixed and you didn't know if people were getting there from or how they were getting there, you wouldn't be able to gauge if the ad was successful. If you have a single landing page that's just sitting there and there's no other way to get to it other than this particular ad, now we know, okay, X amount of people came to that page and X amount of people bought, and we know how much it costs us to run the ad, so now we have our conversion numbers.
Oh.
So that's another reason to have those landing pages be on their own. They're like a little island. The only way to get there is, you know, by boat or plane. And the boat or the plane, that's your ad campaign to get them there.
Okay, that's good.
So think about them that way. Now with web pages, like the bigger your site is, this is a different concept from an SEO perspective. If you're looking at a website through SEO goggles brings you traffic from keywords. So the more pages that your website has that's related to specific keywords, the more doors there are, the more entry points there are from the search engines. Like if somebody goes on there and they search for a particular keyword, if you rank for that keyword, that's a doorway in for them to get to your site. And from that perspective, that's trackable. You know, you can have SEO analytics that'll track how many people came to your site from a search engine and what keywords they came in through. So again, you can kind of gauge and measure your effectiveness of your SEO campaign that way. So, and I look at it like, I've used this analogy for years. It's like if you're building a website, it's kind of like a hotel. If you have one room, you can only manage one guest at a time. If you've got 1,000 rooms, that's 1,000 pages of content for 1,000 different keywords. Think how many guests you could manage. You could manage 1,000 of them at a time. So that's traffic. You know, that relates to how many visitors you're going to drive to your site from the search engines. So very different concept from search engine perspective versus paid ad campaign. Paid ad campaigns are a lot easier. I mean, you know, you pick a target, you go buy the traffic, and it's done in a day. You can literally buy traffic to a landing page and test it and scale it at will, at your own will. So SEO is great for long term because as you build it, it builds momentum. So at some point in the future, you know, you could have a ton of free sales being made from free SEO traffic. But that traffic, it wasn't really free. It's a lot of work to do it and get it there. So you have to value your time and you know, the cost of link building and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
anyway, that's, you know, that's kind of your thing. You can go either direction, and what I encourage a lot of people to do is do both, you know. Start with you know, with a mindset of I want to bring traffic to these offers from a lot of different sources, and just go for it.
Okay.
Build your empire. All right. And Mary Sue had mentioned a blog. You know, a blog, that's a great SEO strategy because every blog post basically is another doorway for another keyword to bring people in. So it's a good strategy for that. But if you don't have a product, it's not a good place to start. You know, you want to really get that foundation in place where you have a real business to build. And you know, there's been a handful of people that were complete anomalies, and you have to understand the difference between a predictable business and an anomaly. What you want is you want a predictable business. And that's not really starting a blog. There's been a few people that started a blog and certain things happened, and because of those certain things, that blog got extremely popular and they made a lot of money from it. But it was an anomaly, and it's not predictable, nor is it scalable generally. So when I look at business opportunities, I look at, is it scalable? You know, and how much of my time is it going to take? And that's, you know, that's how I base, is this a good idea? Is this something I want to do? Or is this something I should just kind of say, that's a good idea, but I'm walking away. So good stuff. All right. Anything else? Any other things anybody stuck on or need help moving forward?
Well, update on what's going to happen the next 5 days. I'm going to the pension convention Saturday in New Orleans, 5,000 plus attendees. And I shifted my business card where before I had Revelio and ID on. Now it's just ID. So I'll be checking back with you to see if there's any traction out of that after hitting down there. So,
okay.
Well, I'll engage people and hopefully hit maybe with about 400 or 500 exhibitors in the hall. So some of them are upstarts trying to break into the pension business, and see about asking them how is their website doing, and if they give me it could be better, then that's my key to say, well, here's my card, here's something that I think you should look into and check it out. And they say, oh, I'm okay, you know, I'm not going to push it. I got 500 people I got to talk to in 3 days, so
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, turn out Save 10 seconds.
Yeah, what you've got there, you know, you could go in there and you could make them a free offer. You know, could I offer you a free website evaluation?
Well, that's the back of the card. It says it right there on the back.
Yeah.
Contact, go through the link and go to you. So I'm just giving you a heads up of what I'll be, if we get anything, we'll see what happens.
Okay, cool.
Cover the bases, let you know where's it coming from. Like, where's all this coming from? And then you'll know where I'm at. I'm in a room of 5,000 to 6,000 attendees with 500 exhibitors. Big companies like BlackRock and Morgan Stanley, and all the way down to the upstart hottest pension person. So there we are.
And also,
yes, sir.
I'm glad you hopped out, because it reminded me of something that we talked about at the event last week about your email.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I just took a look to see, and it is set up. I set up Gregory at gregorysantana.com.
Okay.
And you got 23 megabytes of mail in that box. So
what?
I'm gonna send you over the login instructions on how to get in there and see what kind of mail you got to look at.
Wow.
So
maybe the card was working in a different path that I didn't know about.
Yeah, it could be. But anyway, it was set up and it's been there capturing your mail for you.
Yeah, well,
might be a lot of junk mail, but
true.
Who knows?
But the reason I was not attentive is because I had some very good hits this past week before I got out in time last Friday in the market, and then my other C project has been taking off. That's producing about $125 an hour.
Oh, cool.
So we'll see how far the testing goes, and if it works out, then that's also taking up a lot of my time. But it's cash flow.
Awesome. Yeah, and your thing is the same way. You at some point you're going to want to just get uncomfortable and take the leap and make your course. Even if it's just offering it and not even having it started yet.
Yeah, and people I have been talking to at various places have been saying, when's your next option group going to start? And I said, well, I'm looking about early November with my next options group. But something that brought me up was really cool. You said last time when I was here, when you started when you first started your course, the new course, you said, I created a video and released it on Monday. Then you got together with a questions and answer on Wednesday, and then you released the following video. And I'm going like, because people who get into the trading field or start investigating the trading field, it actually would work better for me in doing just small little videos. So I'll do 15, 20-minute, 30-minute video. Cause I know I'm past experience with the 3 months with the family, and the family account is just doing gangbusters. Got out with 50% ROI after last Friday's exits.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's in 2 months. So they're all jazzed up, and I have proof of the pudding. That's why I say I train with actual real money in the market, so people can see what's happening today, not what happened 2 years ago. But leading to the point was, what you triggered in my mind is I don't have to be live all the time. All I have to do is have concise step-by-step videos, and then after a while, all the questions become the same.
Yeah.
How do you set up the chart? How do you get the brokerage account? It's all the same questions. And one thing that really turned me off in the early days of my trade school journey was there was a lot of reading and no videos. I'm a visual person, and I want it straight to the point. Go here, open up this site, type in here, type in here, type in there, go. In the discussion, it would go like, go to the site, you're going to see this, you're going to see that, and then by the time you get to the next instruction, I'm turned off. I was like, where's step 2? I'm tired of all the explanations in step 1. So that's another thing that's coming into my mind of how to make my presentation different from others.
Okay.
All right. Okay, I'll wait for those instructions, and I thank you very much.
All right. Sounds good. But yeah, I think, from what I've heard, you could have a really, really good marketing campaign for that too. Some of the ideas we threw out, like a teenager can do this, so you can too.
my 12-year-old, he's hot. My 12-year-old's hot, and his brother, who's only 8, He's really committed. Said, you're going to be ready in 2 years? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. See, that would make such a great attention-grabbing headline. 12-year-old doubled his money, in the stock market, even though the market crashed.
Yeah.
That would make such a good attention-grabbing headline. You'd have an absolute winner there. I can't wait to see what happens when you finally make that move. I'm cheering for you. I'm rooting for you.
Okay, well, I get rid of the I get out of this convention thing next after I get back, and then I can start building. Okay, I saved all my videos, so all my past videos from the very junk of July to the last few ones that have been kind of polished. So I know I have my guidebook.
Awesome.
The guidebook is there. There was something else I was going to mention too. Oh well, anyway, I think that I've taken enough people's time. But there we are. That's where we're at, and we'll move on next. Thank you.
All right. Oh, cool. All right. Anybody else before we wrap up for today? Last call. If you got something on your mind you want to jump out with.
Okay. Sorry. My next big issue is pricing, which we'll talk about later, because of I know there's a lot of instructors out there and what they charge. So that will be another hurdle. How much? The thing is, I'm not looking at this to be a giant moneymaker. The moneymaker is going to be the market for sure, but it does keep me grounded. That I keep my focus and keep my education sharp. But I still want to get rewarded for it enough that it's not going to be an anchor.
Yeah.
It's got to be a sailboat with a nice big sail. Or I'm not getting in. That's why I never did a book for the last 3 to 4 years. I didn't see any advantage in what I was doing as a book, because talking to people at the Dust Wall event that we were at last week, very few were interested at all in the market. The ones that I'm finding are interested in the market are my people at the club.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. You have to identify who your market is, and then you've got to be fishing where the fish are. You have to identify who's your fish and where are they swimming, and that's where you want to drop your hook.
Right on, man. Thank you.
All right. Okay, guys. Well, we will go ahead and wrap up for this week, and put your thinking caps on over this next week, and feel free to throw ideas out here. If you've come up with something during the week and you want to flush it out and play with it, throw it out. We'll see what we can come up with. So, all right. Well, have a great weekend, and we will talk to you guys next week.
Thank you, John.
Okay. Bye-bye.